When a row of sharp spears struck the ground, an invisible barrier formed across the open grassland. The yak herd immediately sensed the danger ahead. They had no choice but to turn and flee in the other direction. But what they didn't know was that a towering cliff awaited them. By the time they realized the danger, it was too late. Watching his companions fall off the cliff one by one, the Yak King understood he had fallen into a human trap. To avenge his fallen companions, he charged furiously at the weakest young hunter, Jack, the chief's only son. Seeing his son in danger, the chief hurled his spear with all his might. Although the spear pierced the Yak King's belly precisely, the beast didn't stop. He had sworn to avenge his fallen companions. Jack was ultimately thrown off the cliff by the Yak King. The hunters rushed nervously to the edge. Fortunately, Jack hadn't died from the fall. They wanted to rescue Jack, who was dangling in midair, but they couldn't think of any way to do it. Just then, the rock suddenly crumbled. The father could only watch helplessly as his son plummeted down. The boy was lucky enough to land on a narrow ledge. The father tried to climb down to save him despite the danger, but his tribesmen held him back with all their strength. They had already lost the boy. They couldn't lose their chief too. Besides, many tribesmen were waiting for them to return from the hunt. The tribesmen busied themselves cleaning up the battlefield. There was enough food here to last them through the cold winter. While everyone else devoured their meals, the father spent the entire day calling out toward the cliff, but there was no response from Jack below. The father had no choice but to accept this cruel reality. The next day, the father held a funeral for his son in grief. But what they didn't know was that just minutes after they left, a vulture had targeted the boy on the cliff ledge as its meal. Just as the vulture was about to feast, the intense pain jolted Jack awake. But when he looked down, Jack was terrified by what he saw. He screamed desperately for his father, but heard no response. All he heard were the sounds of death and despair. The only way to survive was to climb to the surface. His survival instinct made him brave. He began trying to climb upward, but the smooth rock wall offered no footholds. He couldn't find any leverage points. He could only grip the cracks in the rock with all his might. He was forced to dangle once again high above the ground. He fell into despair. Just then, dark clouds suddenly gathered in the sky. Torrential rain began pouring down instantly. The canyon below started filling with rainwater. This gave the boy a glimmer of hope for survival. By now, Jack's strength had reached its limit. His only foothold was becoming more and more slippery. He no longer had the luxury of choice. As the rainwater kept rising, Jack finally decided to take a desperate gamble.